here. Today I'm going to be modeling the medium female. So you guys, I'm not just going to be going through all the steps like I said last time. I'll actually just be getting work done. So yeah, so I actually don't have any of my files or anything open. So today it's like an actual work session. I'm just going to get right into it. So I haven't checked recently, but last time I checked, I think we were up to like $107,000 in our Kickstarter, which is awesome. Thanks to everyone that has backed. Oh, sorry guys. I think my music was a little too loud. Can you guys hear me? Let me know if that audio is any better. I was experiencing a little bit of technical difficulties just before I got on here. A lot of my settings were messed up, but I think we should be good now. I'm gonna move the mic just a little bit closer. Alright. So, last time I went through all the different stages of creating the characters from scratch. Showed a lot of different renders and screen captures of the progress. But today is going to be just one step, which is taking this high poly mesh, which is made up of millions of polygons. As you can see, there's actually 368,000 to be exact points for this head. Sorry, I think my music's still a little loud. And I'm going to take it into a program and do something that's called retopologizing, which is generating the same mesh but in a lower resolution, so that it's easier for importing into the game engine. So let me know, guys, if my audio is a little better. I know some of you are saying my mic's a little bit low. I moved it closer, so if that helps, be sure to let me know. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to export this high-res head, and since it's broken up into multiple pieces, I'm going to have to combine them into one single layer before I can export them. Okay, good to know. Good to know, ModSec. I don't know if that's optimal for everyone, but I'm hearing from my team that it's good enough. So yeah, I guess I'll just keep going at this at this volume. I'm not really sure what you guys are hearing and not hearing, but yeah, the female form is it's it's evident enough, but you know, we don't need any fancy like bikini breastplates or, you know, armor that wouldn't necessarily make sense in battle. So yeah, we tried to make it practical. So I'm going to export this. And I'm going to open it up in a program called Topogun. This program's sole intention is to retopologize, which is the step that I'm on today. You can do a program like, you can use a standard 3D program like 3ds Max or Maya. I know Santerra uses Blender for this stage. There are some pretty good tools in Max for this, but it can get a little clunky at times, for me anyway. So it's a matter of preference, but this is a pretty cheap program. I was able to get it, I think it's like $100 or something. So yeah, it really works well for heads, especially. Whenever I'm modeling armor, I usually retop inside of whenever I'm retopping, like, you know, hard surface stuff, I usually use like Max. But for today, it's just going to be this program here. Alrighty. In the wrong folder. You like my wallpaper? Oh yeah, I forgot that I did that. Yeah, that's if any of you are fans of H3 Productions, that's the Vape Nation guy. Yep. Vape Nation. Yep. So okay, so here's the high-res head sculpt without her eyes inside of Topogun. And first thing that I'm going to do is start creating edges or vertices around the eyelids. And I like to usually go with like 8, and then 8 on the bottom as well. So let's see, if I start, the eyelids on the bottom are a little bit thick, but I think I'll just go with it. Eyes below the top. That is not 5 eyes wide. Yeah, you know, with stylized stuff, you can get a little bit crazy with, you know, where you put things. With bigger eyes, I mean, there's a lot of like Disney characters and stuff. It's definitely not 5 eyes wide. With this female, you know, I could have probably made the eyes a little bit bigger, and maybe whenever I create the low res mesh, that a lot of things can be adjusted. But yeah, I mean, for now, she's sort of got that more stern look with the eyes being separate, a little bit further apart, I guess. But yeah, a lot of these features too will be covered up by hair. I think we'll probably have like helmets and stuff too. Um, so yeah. Yeah, actually, you're right about the symmetry of the face. A lot of times, whenever I'm modeling in ZBrush, I will I will create everything in symmetry to get all the features correct, and then I'll take off this symmetry thing here and just sort of start, lowering or raising and shrinking certain parts of the body so that whoa. Um, my brush settings are off right now, but you know, you can just sort of create some asymmetry just by doing certain things, make it look a little bit more. It's just like a little subtle thing. But yeah, you can do that too in the stage that I'm on with retopping, because once again, I'm going to create symmetry again here. So I'm going to do everything on this side of the head, and then flip it around. And then whenever I do that, then I can, sort of push and pull these different verts so that it's not quite as symmetrical. So there's a particular way that you want to model faces. You don't want to just start putting boxes and verts down willy-nilly. There definitely is a process to creating good edge flow, and this is usually because of animation and just sort of the way that the face is shaped, like eyelids and things like that need to be able to squint and blink. Your mouth needs to open properly, and different parts of the face are just easier to rig if they're modeled properly. So you sort of want to create like this this map, starting with the edges around the eyes. The medium female is not a Kardashian. Another cool thing that this program can do, I'll try to show you again. I think I tried to show this last time and it completely effed up, but try to show you again here. I'll just do it on a part like this. You can sort of draw where you want your edge flow to go. And then crisscross it, tic-tac-toe style. And it'll do a pretty good job of evaluating it. And then you can just clear it. So yeah, it didn't do a perfect job here. It's messed up some parts. But overall, not too bad. Now, I'm not going to keep that right now because I'm not at that stage where I need to figure out, I need to figure out how many edges and vertices I'm going to have. Once I create the eyes, leading it into the nose and the mouth, and then after that I can figure out and try to connect all the different parts of the head, but there are tools that make this a little bit easier. Right now, doing it one by one is the best way for me. So yeah, this process does take a good bit of patience. It's also good to use reference when you're doing something like this. And I'll show you, I'll try to pull up some of my reference here. Let's see. I can sort of show you guys, what I'm looking at off screen sometimes. So here's a pretty good example of a head with some pretty decent polyflow. You can see the rings around the eyes, and then it leads down into the mouth here. And if you were to continue along, one of these lines, if you were to continue along one of these lines, which are called edges, it would wrap the whole way around, and then you'd move in one, it would wrap the whole way around, and it just keeps doing that all the way around the mouth. And that just makes it a lot easier for just for animation purposes, for rigging purposes, depending on what your character is going to do, if it's going to talk, if it's going to make facial expressions, if you're going to have things called blend shapes where you make different expressions based on phonemes, which are the shapes that your mouth makes when you talk, when you say certain words. Imagine saying like a TH sound or CH sound, or like what your mouth does when you say like a W, wah. Those are the different shapes of phonemes. So those things are a lot easier to create whenever you have good edge flow like this. So yeah, I would use something along those lines as reference. I thought I had another one in here. Yeah, this is another good one. So you can see this person has actually laid out like the colors for how these edges should work. But yeah, so it's sort of like this binocular shape that this edge sort of flows the whole way around. This edge flows the whole way around. So yeah, I'll just have this like off screen and just sort of be using it as rough reference. I'm not going to be going exactly, since my face shape isn't exactly the same as these, but it does help. So I'm checking our Kickstarter right now. Looks like we're at $107,000.93, or yeah, $107,093. We still got 12 days to go, guys. So if you haven't donated yet, please click on the little green K below the video here. You can go check out our page. You can go look up any questions you might have about the game itself. There's a ton of information on there. There's a ton of great stuff that we're giving away for all of our backers, so just be sure to check that out. Help us reach our stretch goals. There is some like interactive stuff so that you guys can unlock different achievements. I know that there's one that I think that we're getting pretty close to, and it was a really, really simple one. But it was post 10 selfies of Chibi Alpha with the hashtag #PlayMidair. And there was actually like this inception image that I saw on one of our forums the other day, where someone took a picture of it with their monitor, and then someone took a picture of that picture on their monitor, and it got down to like 4 or 5 different people. So if you want to check that out, I think our forum link is somewhere in that on that page. So and if not, go to I don't want to say this wrong. Who's in this? Davey, are you in here? Or maybe you could post some links or something to those guys just to show them what I'm talking about. But yeah, guys, just because we met our goal doesn't mean we're not accepting money anymore. Please keep funding it, and we can, release a lot of cool stuff in the future. I don't usually work this slow, by the way. So now I'm starting to get a little far out from the eye for this ring to make sense. Um, so that's probably about the time that I'd start breaking it up and form that binocular shape that you could see from that image that I showed earlier. But in order for me to understand how these vertices will form better, I should probably start on another piece like the nose or the mouth, so that we can see what it looks like if I lead into that. So I think I'll do that now. The mouth is an easy place to start. So once again, I'm only doing this half of the face, and I'll create a symmetrical version of it later on. So the next thing I can do is instead of going in and adding another loop here, which is something that I need, there's something called an edge ring that that I'm sure that you've probably seen if you watched any of Santeri's broadcasts. But it's a way to create a line between all these. So I'm just going to select ring, or I could over here just select one, and it would automatically detect the ring, and I could hit connect ring. And what it's going to do is automatically place all these verts on the shape of the high res mesh and just project it on there. So that's helpful. Most 3D programs have something like that, but it's really great for just creating a more dense mesh. So it's a little bit sloppy here, but that's okay. We're just trying to get the general shape right now, and then cleanup will come later. And now I'm starting to get like some pretty large polygons over here. You generally want to keep them all around the same size. I mean, not perfectly the same size, but whenever you have like really small squares here and then you start to see them start getting really big over here. You might want to think about either adding more edge loops, which I showed you earlier, or creating something called a pole, which is whenever so most intersections at a point have 4 lines that intersect them, but a pole is whenever you create one that has 5 intersecting, or more sometimes, I guess. So that's what I'm doing here. And this actually isn't the greatest place for one. So the placement of the poles should be in an area that doesn't move a lot. This area of the mouth could still be considered, in fact, this still would move quite a bit, especially around the cheek area where, you know, this area would deform. This could be kind of a problem. So I think what that means for me is that I need to create another edge loop, or at least 2 more. So now that that's a little bit denser, I'll sort of spread these things out so that it's a little bit more even. Yeah, this is a pretty time-consuming process. The head especially, because you can't really build big, broad shapes with the head. When it comes to modeling like bodies, armor, a lot of hard surface things like that, you can build like big, broad shapes. You can start with squares. You can start with cylinders. Lots of different things help you build the shapes a lot quicker, and you can just, you know, get it done fast. But with a head, it takes a little bit more time. You've really got to go in and make sure that everything is just the way you want it. Yeah, there's just really no other way to put it. I mean, I've done every way you can do this, and this is, to me, I think the fastest, and it's still really slow. But yeah, I mean, everyone's different. Some people prefer to use like plane modeling in 3ds Max. It's all pretty much the same. If there's a better method out there, I'd like to see it. But as far as I know, this is just sort of the nitty-gritty of 3D modeling characters. I mean, you've got to go in and sort of form the face using these, you know, polygons one at a time. So what I'm doing now is sort of, I'm following this green edge loop here. So I sort of want to have it cascade up over the nose and then down underneath the lips between the chin, just to sort of match that reference. And it looks like I could run into some pinching areas right here if I continue to do that, so I might want to move these shapes in just a little bit more. You don't want it to get too far away from the mouth whenever you're doing this. That's an easy thing to do, to have all of this sort of pinch away. One thing about this program is this selection tool kind of sucks. 3ds Max, I could just grab all these verts and move them pretty easily, but this kind of doesn't know whether I want to select the plane or the poly or the point, so that kind of sucks. And it also doesn't have soft selection that I know of anyway. I actually never really checked. Soft selection is whenever you can sort of um, select one area and it has like a fall off for all the other verts surrounding it, so that you can move one and the rest will sort of move with it, so that it doesn't create, you know, really harsh uh, contrast between the edge flow. But anyway, I should probably be counting, but I'm just eyeballing it right now. I can always delete or add edge loops as needed. Yeah, I use Maya at work a good bit, but not necessarily for modeling right now. I don't know. I think it comes down to, like, for 3D artists anyway, it sometimes comes down to what you learned first, and that's sort of what you always gravitate towards. I know Maya has a lot stronger animation tools. Um, they're really good for like rigging. And actually, I was just talking with some people from Autodesk earlier this week, and there's a lot of really cool tools in the Maya version that's out right now, 2016. They've actually imported a lot of great sculpting tools from uh, their program Mudbox, which is sort of dying off, as I understand it. Sort of, they've given up their fight against ZBrush, unfortunately. But they're importing a lot of sculpting tools from that program, so yeah, there's a lot of great stuff that's now available for modelers, and I don't know, I might start opening it up a little bit more, trying out some of those tools, because Max is great and everything, but I don't know, it's one of those things that in this industry, not a lot of people, it seems like not a lot of people use it as much as they used to. Maya has sort of become the standard, especially in the film industry. Game industry, I guess it's still like 50-50, but film industry is like mostly on Maya. Yeah, ZBrush is a pretty great program. My problem with it is the UI. It's just, for me, and I know that you can customize it. I know that there's like all these options to create your own menus, and but the problem with it is that it started out as something different. It started out as, actually, I don't want to misinform you because I'm not really sure about this. But it started as like a 2.5 solution, 2.5D solution. They've created all these like side things where you can, sort of has like its own little Photoshop section that you can like paint things in it, and it's almost like it's trying to be too many things at once, where Mudbox was always intended to be a sculpting program for creating meshes, you know. Whereas ZBrush, I think, had like a little bit of an identity crisis, and they never removed any of those features. So since then, now it's like, you know, I mean, if you just look at this, like, there's just so many options, and that's just for like one menu set. You know, this is just under the tool menu set, and then all these have different subcategories, and half the time you're like just trying to figure out what you want, you know. But that being said, it is a great tool for artists, because you really only need a few things to get the job done. You can get fancy with it, you know, with a lot of other things, but as an artist, it is the most seamless transition from wanting to sketch out your ideas and get them in 3D as quickly as possible, and all the other stuff's just kind of noise. But yeah, that's sort of my traditional background, is doing 2D art first and sort of falling in love with 3D later, and not really learning all the technical skills that it took to be a 3D artist along the way, but I slowly started learning it a little bit better. But overall, I give ZBrush a B+, and there's really nothing better than it, so. It sort of has a monopoly on the industry with sculpting tools. This is actually, as time consuming as it is, this is one of those stages where you don't really have to think that much, and for that reason it's kind of relaxing. You can just sit back and listen to music, just sort of let your brain go into veg zone, and I don't know, it's kind of relaxing, depending on what you're into. Some people I know, this stage drives them crazy. I'm a little bit more laid back. I enjoy it. Yeah, this selection tool really sucks. But it's great because another reason that I don't like using Max for retopping sometimes is that Max can't handle these millions of polys like this. So this has like 500,000 polygon or vertices, and ZBrush is really good at handling stuff like that. But if I were to bring this whole body into 3ds Max, it would like be borderline crashing on me. If I tried to rotate it, my graphics card would be pumping. And it's just the way that the viewport works. It's just different than ZBrush. But this program does a pretty good job of handling it. I'm moving this around like no problem. And that's sort of another reason that I choose this program to do this process. So you guys are witnessing actual work that needs to be done for this project. This isn't just like filler stuff that I decided to do just so there was something to show you guys this week. This is actually like a peek under the hood for what's happening on our side. That here it is. It's a Sunday afternoon. I have a little bit of free time, so instead of playing games, I'm helping make one. And it's just sort of my own free time that I'm working, and yeah. And it's pretty much the same can be said for the rest of the team. A lot of us have full-time jobs, and we just dedicate so many hours of our week to doing this. because it's fun, because we love to do it. So right now, this is an unavoidable pull. I need to create another loop here, because if I try to go from there to there, that is a huge polygon. That's just too big. So I will pull one out there and start creating a new edge flow right there. And even this is pretty big. That I can sort of shrink down a little bit. But yeah, it's like the further and further away you get from this eye, these polys are just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. You know? So you can sort of see, whoops, that is not going to work. So you can sort of see like that's ridiculous. You can't have that. So yeah, definitely a need for some poles here. Or tries. That's when you just create a triangle like that. But I don't always like doing that. The face is the hardest part to get right, and usually ears are really tough too. These are stylized, so they're not going to be too bad, but ears can suck. Especially whenever you get into all like the, you know, all the pieces that make up you know, an ear. Let me see if I can find a good reference for this. Yeah. See, that's kind of a nightmare. It looks really good. This is good polyflow. But whenever you're modeling ears, you have to be able to, you know, look at all these nice straight lines leading into this ear, and then it just goes crazy, you know. But there's still good flow here, you know. It gets a little tricky. That's not good. But yeah. So yeah, it's whenever I was saying about this process is kind of mind-numbing, that you don't really need to pay attention. Whenever you get to places like the ear, that's whenever you start waking up. You're like, okay, I gotta figure this out. For me, not so much. This could probably be solved in. I'm gonna create a little bit of depth here. Make her an elf. Yeah. Not that kind of game. Although... yeah, that's the other problem. There's, with this program, it's not like a free form modeling program where I can just extrude shapes in any which way. The whole point of the program is that these verts are always trying to stick on to this form, you know, so they're always going to be aligned perfectly to my reference mesh. So there's not a whole lot I can do with, you know, pushing and pulling these verts out into just space. Like, it won't even let me lift that up past that point. You can sort of see it locking. Like, if I wanted to lift it up over here, I couldn't do it. If I did it over here, it would let me, but only because it's sticking to the head. So, can't do that. Not in this program. So what I'm going to do here is create like an inset. Oops, I need to count. Okay, there we go. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, I didn't anticipate that I'd be able to finish this for you guys today. It is a long process. I did get a pretty good amount of it done though. The face is always the hardest part, the longest part. It's like putting a puzzle together. You know that there has to be edge loops around the eye, you know that there has to be edge loops around the mouth, you know what shape the nose needs to be, and it's a matter of getting all of those pieces to match up together so that, you know, the polyflow makes sense. And there's usually always a pull right there, just because the connections. Yeah, it's relaxing. It's also sort of like a challenge, you know. It's like a game, you know. If things aren't working out, you know that there has to be a solution for it. And sometimes it's a matter of just like taking a whole section and just deleting it and starting over, because maybe you're just not looking at it the right way. But yeah, it just takes experience, you know. I've done this so many times now that that I know where my problem areas are going to be, and you've just sort of yeah, you've got to anticipate it, and not get frustrated. See, like right here, I can't say I've encountered a problem like this anytime recently. So what I need that edge flow to keep going around like this, but the problem is this area. So I'm going to create a try there, and then this is going to create another edge loop, and things are going to start getting sloppy if I don't think this through a little bit better. So what do? Gotta go to my reference. Oh, I lost my reference. That's what happens when you only have one tab open in Chrome. I usually have a trillion Chrome tabs open. Well, let's just try to figure this out. So I might delete these. Oh, that's cool. Lightsaber handle. Yeah, Max is fun. There's a lot of different ways to do the same thing in there, with all the modifiers and, you know, different old school tools like my one modeling instructor in college started out with teaching us about the lathe tool and how to create compound objects with booleans and all these techniques that just make no sense for modeling for games. And it's fine that it's fine to do those things whenever you're just trying to get a shape down and then you correct it with the polyflow, but he never showed us that. Like if it was up to him, he'd probably put this head, this really high poly head in the game engine and just be like, oh yeah, that's fine. It was like he taught me all these super bad habits right out the gate, like my first 3D class ever. So I've sort of had to correct mistakes that I've learned over the years just by asking other people. And so this isn't good. This edge flow is going to lead into this loop, and then it's going to just break right there, and that's not necessary. That's not a good thing, but we're getting closer. I sort of created a pole here, which I don't want. Oh, I'm coming up on the end of my time here. Yeah, that professor was really holding on to his tenure. He was not fit to be the head guy of that department at the time. All my other teachers sort of shook their head, you know, at his experience. They were just like, yeah, don't listen to him. Which is probably really unprofessional of them to say, but you know. Ooh, yikes. I started a little bit late, so I'll go over like a few minutes, but after that, um, so looks like we sort of figured it out here. It's okay to have a few more edge loops around this cheek area where your mouth sort of conforms. But what I would do next, and I won't have time for it on stream today, but I would take all these shapes right here. See how it's getting really tight, and then it gets looser here. These polys are a little bit bigger. I would just start moving everything out so that it has a little bit more of an even spacing. And same thing goes for down here. Create better connections up here. I might add a few more edge loops so that connects to the nose properly. But yeah, you guys stuck with me here whenever, things got a little confusing around here, but we figured it out. So those edges are flowing a lot nicer now. I'm going to be cleaning this stuff up, but, the edge flow is what we were looking for, so that's the important thing. Alright, if you guys have any questions, now's the time. Direct them in our chat. We have stealth moderating, so he can lead you anywhere you need to go. If you guys haven't donated yet, if you haven't backed the project, please go to the Kickstarter button. It's like a green K below this video. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, check out our subreddit, YouTube, stuff like that. I know that there's like tons of achievements on our Kickstarter page for all those things, so you can unlock achievements by just hitting like, hitting follow, and hitting subscribe. So thanks for thanks for hanging out with me today. If no one has any other questions, I think I'm going to be signing off here. All right, yeah, and we're doing this throughout the week. We still have some streamers and stuff lined up for this week. I think that the schedule appears whenever I sign off. So you guys will know when to tune in next. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. All right, guys, I'm out. See ya.